Today, we are done talking about the brother and move on to her dad. In this specific story, her dad basically tries to scar her for life. Let's throw another log on the fire. Okay, before you ask, I have no idea what's up with the men in my family and animal companions either. I figured you guys are all exhausted from hating my brother so much, so we'll take a break from him and talk about my dad. So my dad has been playing since the 80s and is completely unwilling to adapt, which is why I grew up playing 2nd edition until I was 20. He's very much a better DM than my brother, but not by the hugest margin. Put it like this, he's much more inclined to make the game fun, knows when it's okay to be looser with the rules, and isn't mean just to upset/punish players like Big Bro is. However, I would say he is very limited creatively, which caused him to develop a very bad knack for railroading, which my next story will cover. Anyways, I don't fault him too much for his lower creativity because some people are just weaker in that aspect. His best friend growing up was one of those mega DMs who built a whole world, and my dad really admired him but couldn't replicate it himself. Some people just don't have that spark in them, and that's okay. What's not okay, however, is my dad's sick sense of humor. See, he's stubborn, and it contributes horribly to his railroading. But my dad would also just do awful things because he thinks he's a lot funnier than he actually is. He also really enjoys putting players in uncomfortable situations. A short example. One time, the party was split and my cousin had to mercy kill an NPC who was maimed beyond repair from an Iron Maiden. And my dad just decided that the entire party would get teleported across the whole dungeon just so everyone could conveniently walk in on my cousin killing this NPC so awkward misunderstandings could ensue. So to put it simply, my brother will do things to hurt players, but my dad likes embarrassing his players. I guess everyone has their thing apparently. This story is just an example of my dad's lack of limits to what he finds funny. So I'm 11 here, which means this is only a few months after the tragedy that is Snake Eyes the pony, and my dad is running Palace of the Silver Princess for me and my cousin. Since there was only 2 of us, my dad supplemented our party with some NPCs. But the only relevant one here is Dewey the cleric. So we come across this cave where we hear a lot of growling in the distance, and we follow the sound only to find a scared, starving, emaciated bear cub chained to the wall. My cousin just wants to leave it, but I'm an 11-year-old girl and a huge animal lover, so my heart breaks and I insist we help it. I fed it rations and it ate them, but it's still a bear, so it hasn't stopped showing hostility towards the party. Concerned, I begged Dewey the cleric to do something, because as a godly man, he should know a few tricks, right? So Dewey sits down next to the bear for a couple of rounds, whispering a lot of things, and before we know it, the bear has went from hostile to sweet. This is where I first learned about animal friendship. I was overjoyed at this and we set the bear free, and I'm pretty sure I named it Teacup. So we set off to explore the rest of the dungeon with our new animal companion in tow. It didn't take long for the problems to start. The problem here being a pit trap. The rope we tied across the opening of the pit was good enough for a party member, but bears aren't really known for their tightrope walking skills, So we had to think up of an alternative. When my character tried to explain how the party could rig up some kind of pulley system for Teacup to get across the pit, a wandering monster appeared on our side of the hallway, and Teacup barreled forward in a panic and went directly into the pit. The wandering monster was dispatched quickly, and the party looked down into the pit to see if Teacup survived the landing. In all honesty, Dad, it would have been better if you just killed the bear right then and there. But no, my dad did not mince words as he described how Teacup's body was contorted and broken from the impact, but still alive and crying out in pain. My dad took special care to illustrate how Teacup's front paws were bent entirely backwards, wrist bones broken through the skin and sticking out where we all could see. Blood was everywhere, of course. Poor Teacup locked eyes with my character almost accusingly, as if asking, why did I put it in such a situation in the first place? The entire time, my dad had the biggest poop-eating grin as he said all of this. My character had to euthanize Teacup with an arrow. I was the only archer. I cried. My dad joked about this story for years. He actually thought it was the funniest thing ever, both the cold-blooded bear homicide and my reaction to it. Teacup, the bear, had an even shorter lifespan than Snake Eyes, the pony. Yeah, I'm sorry, but that's a pretty horrible father. Getting joy out of seeing your child distraught is not good at all, and boasting about it for years as a joke is not any better. Each story seems to make me more worried about OP. I hope at least her mom was nice. What do you all think about this situation?